Hi, it's Uncle Bear, and this is week 8 of my experiment hosted on Patreon. Take heart, make hearth, get cozy. Experiments with embracing winter and not feeling so crappy. And this week 8, is about cozy, which is so exciting for me. I am a creature that loves coziness. I was raised by a mom who would say, "Oh, it's so cozy." I mean, like that. Cozy, it's so cozy. She'd want to grab it and bite it. my mom wanted to bite things. And she loved coziness. And so I grew up thinking that's just like what people do is they get cozy. And apparently it's not. Now, 2016-ish, the Danish concept of hugga, I hope that's even remotely right, came into vogue. So there's books written about it and all this kind of stuff. And that concept in Scandinavia, they have other, depending on the country, they have other words that describe it. But this Danish concept of kind of being together, being simple, connecting, and having luxurious indulgences that are not expensive. Does it make sense? So candles and cozy blankets. Oh, like this. A cozy blanket. Cozy blankets. This is one of those fleecy blankets. And it really is super cozy. Having stews and soups and mugs of hot things to drink. So coziness is also linked to winter in a lot of people's minds. And right now in Chicago, it is a balmy 14 degrees, and it's not going to get warm again until after Valentine's Day. So, and what do I mean by warm in Chicago? I mean, it's not going to get into the 20s. And I know that there are people in parts of the world where it is truly cold that think this is funny. This is like a tropical place compared to those places. I've been lucky. I've been able to travel in a couple Scandinavian countries, in Denmark and Oslo and Sweden, and they really do not only dig winter, but they are into the cozy. They have candles. Everywhere you go, there are candles lit in all the shops, the stores, and their blankets. There are sweet blankets available, and people are outside all the time. So, this was before the pandemic. This was just how life was. Now in the United States, we're having some experience of trying to make the outdoors accessible during winter times. And I hope that actually sticks. I hope that doesn't just go away when the pandemic is in our rear view mirror. So coziness, this feeling of safety too. So I want to point to the fact that people who don't have secure housing or shelter, they can access cozy, but think about that. If you don't have a place to be, how do you access cozy then? Is that even possible? Is it tied to a survival level of consciousness? If you're really worrying about your survival needs, can you even have cozy? I think about our ancestors, though, who gathered around fires in shelters in winters, a lot of our ancestors in the northern climates. And when they were gathered together, I think they still probably found ways to experience coziness. How do we experience coziness by ourselves? I am predominantly isolated. I got a good oxytocin bump this weekend by being with a beloved and getting some cuddles and hugs, which filled me up in ways I felt a little high actually from the experience. And I notice how much more relaxed I am today. And I've not been feeling so well. And I tell you, that really just helped shift my physiological response to stress in a way that made it a lot easier to deal with. So what are the ways that we can be cozy? So we know, according to the Danes, candles are like the number one thing. So candlelight and lighting itself. So having warm lighting that kind of gives you that feeling of being held and hugged. Hygge actually has its roots in the words to console, to comfort. So to hug, right? That's where I think the English, I'm not positive, got hugging in some way. Don't know. So candles and soups, and I'm hoping to maybe do a collaboration with someone about that this week. And they talk about in the articles like it's Netflix and chill. And I feel like, most of us who have the access, or our friends, our friends' access to Netflix or Amazon Prime or whatever, we've been doing a lot of Netflix and chill. And I'm wondering, how do we do it in a way that feels cozy? How do we take this thing that we've all been using to cope with the stress of isolation and pandemiclandia and do it consciously so that we can feel cozy about it again? Most of the articles that I read about, coziness and hugga were older, before the pandemic. So they were saying things that none of us had access to. Like in the articles, a lot of them talk about, and wear loungewear. Like, most of us don't live in loungewear now. That's what we live in. We don't. Most of us wear a lot of formal clothing anymore, whether it be work clothing or going out clothing. You might have that day where you're like, today I'm going to dress up. I'm going to get out of my pajamas. But most of the days we stay in our pajamas or something relaxed and cozy. I call them, by the way, and my loves call them woobies. Those are warm, just formless pants and shirts and tops and things that are cozy. So all these things. I was thinking about scents. Like, what are cozy scents that I could maybe start using? Because I forget about that scent is so powerful. Our olfactory awareness is so huge, and it's so tied to memory. And how do I use that? Sometimes, like on my altar, I'll burn some beautiful sage or cedar. This is cedar from Lucky Bunny, who made it and gifted it to me. And it smells so good. I have some pine from Christmas trees. I went around and I dragged all the Christmas trees in the neighborhood in Hyde Park, and I brought them to the big yard, the huge yard, and I chopped them up for use in fires at some point. So I burned that. So maybe more, but I do that in my morning practice. I want to do it more in my life. I also want to play with the idea of reading more. I know that I feel so cozy when I read, when I have like a cup of tea or something warm and I'm in a nice little nook and I give myself the gift of reading. I don't read books like I used to before all of this. I read all the time, articles constantly, doing research and fascinating things, but to actually sit down and read a book. So I am reading 100 Years of Solitude. I'm finally going to get through it. I am more than halfway done, which is the farthest I've ever been in trying to read this book for the last probably 30 years. So coziness to me is getting that book out and reading it and being intentional about the whole experience of it and really allowing myself to savor that. Coziness also takes time. And that's a hard thing in capitalistic cultures. The trade-off of time and money sucks. Like it is, when I think about the sins of capitalism, one of the biggest sins is that the exchange of time for money is a shitty exchange. It is a bad trade-off. So taking the time, I know, is hard for so many folks. So taking the time to read seems radical in some ways. And this year I've really said I'm going to read books more. And I have been doing it. I read a book in January. Well, actually almost a book and a half. And I'm trying to read at least one book a month, which prior to this age, I read at least 3-4 books. I know friends who are still doing that even more. I have friends who are prolific readers, but I don't do that. So creating a space for myself consistently to be cozy with a book sounds really good. Making soup. That does sound really good. So many different things. Of course, also coziness is being outside, layered, warm, and feeling good about it, right? So I'm going to be doing that too. So this week it's coziness. Today's experiment for me is going to be the reading. So I'm going to go make a cozy spot, get a cup of tea, and enjoy reading for a good chunk of time, at least like a half an hour or more. Take some time with a book. So this is the week of coziness. Please share with me cozy ideas that you have, and I'm wishing you a cozy experience this week. If you are enjoying the shenanigans with me, please, if this is coming to you via YouTube, subscribe somewhere on the screen, and also visit my Patreon page where you can find all my experiments so far since the very beginning on solstice. This is number 50, I think, and they're all free. And then if you want to subscribe and get more access to things, it starts only at $5 a month, which is a deal, and goes up depending on what you're looking for, because, I'm a coach and that kind of person too. So there's ways to access that with me as well. So I wish for you a cozy week, and thank you for hanging out with me. We do this thing together. We do cozy together.